Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear and see me. So I just want to let you know what's happening with the bits of equipment that are in my space. I yesterday got delivery of my new Tressler, which is a big wooden horse, basically, invented by BKS Iyengar. So this is my Tressler here. So you might see me using that today for some of the poses. And also I've taken some of my colleagues' shop products. So I've got wooden bricks, belts, wooden planks, pranayama pillows for my pranayama group. This is what we use in India for pranayama. Very often instead of blankets, it's a pranayama pillow. And a selection of books as well. And I'm going to post that on my website soon so that you've got, if anyone's interested, yeah. So anyway, I'm just a bit overexcited about my Tressler, so I just wanted to introduce it to you because I wanted one for years and years and years, and I finally got one. So anyway, shall we get on with our practice today? Thanks for joining me, and happy Mother's Day to the mothers of you out there. I'm the mother of one cat, I'm afraid. And that's enough. Okay, so let's start. And we'll start with the invocation as we normally do to Patanjali. So make sure that you've got enough height to sit on and that you are paying attention now for the invocation, settling yourself down, entering that quiet state. Bring the palms together in front of the chest, close the eyes and draw your attention inwards. And then I'll chant 3 Oms followed by the invocation. Om. Yogena citasya padena vacham malam sharirasya javaidyakena yopa karotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram shankachakra siddharinam Sahasra Shirasam Svetam Pranamami Patanjalim Hari Om. Maintaining the lift in the chest, bow the head down towards the heart. Exhale, release the hands, raise the head, open the eyes. Extend out your legs. Okay, so we're going to start with our usual 3 poses that we start off at the beginning of practice, first one being Adho Mukha Virasana. So let's come to the back edge of the mat so that we've got space to move forwards into Adho Mukha Svanasana in a moment, and obviously take whatever supports you need for this pose. So if you're new to this session, welcome. It's a guided practice, so I don't give a huge amount of information. Any questions you can ask me afterwards. You're very welcome to get in contact and ask questions. So just a couple of points. Make sure that the elbows are not dropped to the floor. This is an active pose for the upper body. Arms, chest, thoracic spine, even the hips, feet are flexed so that the ankles are being stretched, the fronts of the ankles. So see that the weight is going back towards the buttocks as much as possible. If they're very high away from the heels, put support underneath the buttocks and the head. And then we're going to come into downward facing dog from there. So you can keep extending the arms forwards. and look forwards with the head. Check your hands first before you go up. Don't just blindly go up. Have a look and see that the hands are firmly pressing down, and then lift your legs, lift your knees. It's a good idea to go onto the tiptoes and avoid doing this thing. You see people doing this kind of cycling thing. I would avoid that because your stronger side will just push more. So just lift your heels up and then slowly press the tops of the thighs back towards the backs of the legs as you stretch the heels down, and take an exhalation through the backs of the legs. Because often what people are doing when they do that cycling thing is they're trying to avoid that intensity of extension. But the more you do that, the more intense it's going to stay. The more you learn to just gently, using the breath, press both thighs back evenly, the better your pose will become. The ease will come, as well as the stability. If you remember the sutra, Sthira Sukham Asanam. Sthira is first. Sthira is stability. Sukha is the succor, the ease. So you have to get stability first, and then the ease will come. Okay, and then walk forwards into Uttanasana. If you think about Patanjali, if you think about B.K. Iyengar's yoga, his yoga was always based on a very practical application, working from the ground up, using the alignment of our physical body to create the ease and comfort. And then bring the hands onto the hips and come up. I'm obviously in a philosophical mood this morning. I'll shut up in a minute. Okay, so we're going to take the leg extensions. I'm going to use my Tresla. If you have something like this, like a table or a ledge that you can rest your foot on, or a chair maybe, then that might be a nicer way to do your leg lifts this time, instead of just putting your feet at the wall. In fact, I'll turn this way and use my mat so my feet don't get cold. So I'm going to bring my leg up, keeping the standing leg foot facing straight forwards. Got the wall there for balance. And having the heel bone on that narrow edge, it's quite good for the precision as well. So I can't be wavering too much. So if your balance is not very good, then you can go close to a wall where you know that you've got something in case you're a bit off center. But don't have a narrow ledge like that. Have something wider, like a table or the top of a chair or something like that. So UHP 1 first. So we're going over a little bit of what we did during the week. There'll be a couple of things there that we did in the week. And if you weren't there, where were you? But anyway, so it's a little bit of a back bend session today. A couple of standing poses, a bit of a mixed session really. Okay, so shall we do the other side? Let's take the other leg up. And these poses, you can hold them for quite, 2 minutes. As long as you don't have that searing, intense pain in the hamstring. If that happens, then that's the hamstring reaching its limit. So either bring the leg down or work more on the quadricep contraction, outer thigh contraction, and make sure that you're pressing the top of the thigh bone down. That sounds odd if you think, oh, it's going to work the hamstring more. It's not. It's actually going to work the quadricep, and it's going to help the hamstring fibers to spread instead of stretch, if that makes sense. So if you work the front of the leg, same on the standing leg, that top of that thigh, if you press the very, very top of the thigh back, it actually spreads the hamstring, helps the front spine to lift, and takes the pressure off that hamstring. Okay, because most of our hamstring problems are because of poor posture in the front body, lack of work in the front of the leg. So, you know, the whole of the front body not really working in alignment. And alignment doesn't mean just, you know, keeping your feet square. It's more than that. It's internal, external, everything working efficiently together. Okay, so let's change again. And this time we'll do the sideways version. So I've got to be quite careful not to miss the mark. So I think I'm going to just, yeah. So take the right leg up. Try and turn from a sort of tree pose action first. You turn the knee towards the object that you're going to place the foot on. And bring the leg up there. And I'm looking to see that my heel bone is in line with the arch of my standing leg foot. It's a little bit forwards actually. So I'm just going to move my standing leg foot forwards. That's better. And then you're trying to keep that buttock in, not back. And then the abdomen turns from right to left. If you've got room, you can take you can't see my arm actually, but you can take the arm out to the side. Yeah. And sometimes people take the arm up actually, the other arm up. It's quite nice to do that. And in fact, if you're feeling daring, you can take both arms up. And again, the top of that thigh bone pressing down, top of the left thigh bone pressing back. And then bring the arms down and we'll change sides. So start from Tadasana, and if you just place the belt under the foot, I don't know if you can see that, I've just got it under the foot like that. Then I turn my leg, then I slide my hand down, and then bring the leg up like that. Oops, that's not quite in the centre. There we are. And again, just check that that heel bone is in line with the arch of the foot, and you see how that hip goes back quite easily. So you have to bring that buttock in. And at the same time, you're pressing the top of the right thigh back and the abdomen turns from left to right. Then the arm can come out to the side, or you can bring the arm up. Contract this quadricep and then see if you can bring the other arm up. If that doesn't work for you, then just keep hold of the belt there. And then bring the arms down. And bring the leg down. We've got one more to do, which is the turning one. And there's two ways to do this. We're going to do this with the leg forwards first. The other way is to swing the leg across, which some of you have done with me before, but this is a slightly easier way to get the leg in. And I don't want to swing my leg across and miss the beam. It is a bit like a gym beam. Oh, gym beam. Yeah, so right leg is forwards. Then we're going to hold the belt with the left hand and put the right hand on the sacrum. So we're turning towards the right leg like that. So you hold the belt with your left hand or the foot if you can reach. Right hand is on the sacrum, and then you're trying to turn the abdomen and chest towards the right leg. Watch that that hip doesn't swing out, so keep that outer hip gripped in. Top of the left thigh back. Lift the front of the body up and turn. And if your balance is off and you're near the wall, you can always put your hand here and turn like that. Okay? Come back to the front. It's quite strong on the outer leg, isn't it? And then second side. So bring that leg up. So you want to watch that also when you take this leg up, that you haven't crossed your legs over. So that heel bone should be in line with the inner heel of the right leg, not in line with the toes, otherwise you've crossed the leg over. Bring your right hand to catch the belt or the foot and turn towards the left. As you turn, watch that your right leg doesn't sink. So it's top of that right thigh back. Roll the left shoulder back. Sternum bone lifting, but also pubic bone lifting towards the sternum bone. And press the right heel bone down. Okay, and then we'll come back to the center and come down and go back to our space. So I've positioned my mat on this side for the standing poses today. Okay, so that we can have a bit of stability in the back leg. And as you know, this is one of my favorite methods of doing the standings. So we're going to do Trikonasana, Not too long in the hold of the standings today because I want to move on to some back bending work, but we'll take the right foot out, and I've got the outer edge of my left foot at the wall there, so obviously you can mirror me or what have you. If you don't have a good wall space, then just do it in the middle of the mat. Don't worry, but this is just the way I like to practice sometimes. So I'm going to turn the right leg out, keep the hips level, stretch the right arm out, extend to the right, bring the hand down and bring the left arm up. So doing that with me, I hope. So obviously you can use a brick, or you can have your hand a bit higher up, or you can have your hand on a chair. If you've got a trestler or a wall, you can go back, you can lean back against the trestler, and I'll show you that one day. I'll do a little demo of how the trestler works for people with mobility issues or just needing a bit of extra support. And I'm going to be doing some therapy sessions from the studio, one-to-one, when we're allowed to again, for those that live locally. Okay, so we're going to bring that arm up, the right arm, the left arm. You're going to pull that left arm up, come up, and then change sides. So I'll have my back to you now. So start with the feet parallel, then turn the leg. So checking that alignment again, heel with the instep, outer edge of the right foot down, left arm is extending, and then we're reaching out, trying to keep that left buttock in as much as we can. Top arm up. And then pull on the right arm to come up. Feet forwards, walk the feet back together, and stand in Tadasana once again. Okay, so just a couple more standings. So let's look at Parivrtta Trikonasana. So we did the turning one at the leg raise. So now what I want to do is turn that foot a bit more deeply. Okay, and I may need to use a brick for my right hand. Sometimes, you have to put something there because, if you haven't done your Parivrtta Trikonasana yet that day, it's good to have a brick just in case you need it. You might not need it. Every day is different, isn't it? Hips firmly gripping in as we turn, and check that right heel is not coming across towards the left toes. You've got to keep the heel in line with the arch or in line with the heel bone of the back leg. And then let's raise that left arm up. Try not to drop the pubis, so keep the pubis lifting. Turn, bring the arm across the leg and either slide it down to the floor or use your brick. I'm just going to use my brick for now. Just gives me a little bit more of an edge. And then I can keep my outer right hip in better. And then the top arm can come up. Try and lengthen the front body. Work your legs, so press the top of the left thigh back. Grip the right quadricep. Press down the big toe, inner heel of the right foot, and the outer edge of the left foot into the floor and the heel against the wall. And then keeping that grip in the hips, swing yourself back up. Come back to standing, and then bring the legs together. And then we'll change sides. So, if you've had a nice breakfast, if your darling boyfriend cooked you a massive breakfast like mine did, or your husband or whatever for Mother's Day, then this might be a little bit difficult to do this Parivrtta. I can certainly feel my breakfast today. But as you know, it's a really good pose for the digestion, but also for the lower back massage. So as you take that foot back, watch the direction of the pubic bone. So imagine you're trying to lift the abdomen up from the pubic bone like that. So you're not dropping the front hip bones forward. So you have to lift here, and that will put more weight in the back heel. If the back heel is light, there's a tendency to drop. So put weight in the back heel by lifting here, then take the right arm up, and as you come forwards, keep the back heel pressing down, turn, bring your hand across, press the palm if you can, or have the fingertips on your brick, rotate the belly, chest, shoulders, then the head, and then take the top arm up. And if you can look up, then fine. If you just need to look forwards, that's fine too. Keep the legs working. And then come up. Whoops, a bit more wobbly that side. That's my looser hip. It tends to fluctuate. Okay, and then stand in Tadasana just for a moment. So let's take Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, with the heels up against the wall. So both heels now at the wall, and they can go quite high. And then hands here. And anyone with hamstring problems, this is a really nice lift for the hamstrings. It does bring a bit of relief sometimes to have the heels lifted. And then walk forwards, Uttanasana once again. Head down. And then lift the chest and come up and stand up. Okay, so we'll just take Prasarita Padottanasana. So I'm going to move my mat away from the wall now. And we're actually going to do Prasarita Padottanasana 2, if you can manage the hand position. If you can't manage the hand position, you can try with the elbows folded, but they're behind the back like this. Paschima Baddha Hastasana, Baddha bound, Hasta arms or hand. Otherwise, Paschima, again behind. Oops, there was a click there. Namaskarasana, so we're turning the hands like this. Bringing the hands up the back, trying to get all the knuckles together. Definitely a work in progress for me, that first finger knuckle with my tight shoulders. So if you've got your hands in position already, you can take the legs apart. If you are not able to do this with the hands, put the hands behind your back. If you've got balance issues, just put the hands on the floor if you find this really hard to balance, okay? So don't take any risks, because of course now we haven't got the hands. So when you go forwards, just be careful. Press the outer edge of the feet down. Lift the sternum bone, but also lift that pubic bone again. Let the face come up a little and then go forwards. Keep the outer pressure on the outer edges of the feet. Take the body halfway down towards the floor. Lengthen forwards and then lower the trunk and take the head down towards the floor. And you might not reach straight away, might take a few minutes, but don't worry too much if the head isn't onto the floor. So normally what we tend to do is push the heels out more or walk the feet out more to take the head down, but I wouldn't worry about that. If you feel you've got the feet in the right position, just stay there, grip the outer hips, lengthen the trunk down, try and lift the elbows and keep the hands pressing together. I'm failing miserably today. But see if you can attempt to bring the palms towards each other so they're not coming apart. If you're in Baddha Hastasana with the elbows folded, change the cross of the elbows. Head in, head down, eyes open, legs active. Don't squash your toes. And then when you come up, just lift your chest, let the head follow, and then come up, walk the feet in, and then release the arms. And whatever you do, don't shake your wrists, because that's a violent action that can sometimes tweak the wrist, and then you think, oh, I've hurt my wrist doing yoga. No, you hurt your wrist throwing your wrists around. Just do this, stretch the arms this way, that way, and gradually the wrists will recover gently, but don't go shaking your hands around. Okay. You can turn slowly like this. That's a good way to do it. But if because you've stretched them, they're loose, aren't they? So if you then throw them around, you might tweak them. That's just my health and safety tip for there. All right. Okay, so we could do Shirshasana next, but I think what we'll do today is we'll do, instead of Shirshasana, we'll do another Adho Mukha Svanasana, because I want to move from there into upward facing dog. So if you have trouble with your downward dog and you need to use bricks occasionally, then I'm going to show you now with bricks for this next exercise. And by exercise, I mean just this next sequence that we're going to do. So it's downward facing dog into upward facing dog. And sometimes the bricks are helpful for people who have wrist problems or upper body strength is not as it could be. But sometimes the bricks get in the way. So, I would try with, and if it doesn't work for you, try without as well. But I'm going to show you with the bricks. So they need to be bricks that are not going to slide. So you might have to put them against the wall or towards the wall. So we start off in our downward facing dog. And then we keep the arms and legs poker stiff and transfer the weight into upward facing dog. Okay, which we've done loads of times before in this class, but maybe not with the bricks. And then when you come up, think of pushing the hips and coming back up. Okay, and then you can come forwards and backwards a few times. All right, let's start with Adho Mukha Virasana. So sit back on the heels and stretch the arms forwards, get your bricks and put your hands on your bricks so that your arms are really fully extended and the buttocks are extending back. So I feel like I could almost go back a little bit more, get really much more extension through the sides of the body. And then without moving my hands or my feet, I'm going to tuck my toes under and lift up into downward facing dog. So just be there for a few moments. And then we're going to come forward. So your arms are over your wrists and then you carry on, but you don't allow your thighs to get soggy. So you've got to really press the tops of the thighs away from the floor, but resist the tailbone forwards. And then the chest up, head up. Then pick the hips up, as if someone's got a rope around your hips and they're lifting you up. Back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. By the way, I'm not going to turn my head again. And if you are on the screen and you're looking at me doing this, it's better to face the screen when you come into upward facing dog, because it's not good to turn your head when you're doing back bends. Okay? I was warned that by a very senior teacher. So keep your head going straight forwards, because don't forget your neck spine is affected when you turn the head. And if you're in an extension of the spine, a lateral extension of the spine, you don't want to be turning the head at the top all the time. A bit like shaking your wrists. Especially if you've got back problems. And this is very good for the back, of course. So just continue like that, quite slowly, about 3 or 4 times. You see how slowly I'm going? I'm not going fast at all. But I'm really focusing on the work of my legs, actually. Trying not to let them go soft. Taking a few breaths in each repetition. So that it gets stronger, more flexible. There's the stirrer, there's the strength, and the flexibility creates the movement, or helps with the movement. Okay, and then walk forwards when you've done your 3 or your 4, and stand up. Okay, hope that makes sense. That's sort of going slowly with real attention to what the legs are doing will give you more extension of the spine rather than just snapping yourself forwards and backwards with no attention to detail. A moving meditation. Now, oh, hang on, I've got that in the way. Let's go this way. We're going to stand near to a wall. We're going to do Urdhva Hastasana. All right, so just need to mind that. Yeah, so this one where you stretch the arms up. And I think you've got a logo in the way there. Let me see if I can get rid of that because I don't think you need that as well. I can magic that away. Look, there we are. It's gone. Yeah, so I've got my arms up here. Oh, there's a ceiling there. And then we're going to stretch up as high as we can and then see if we can stretch back and touch the wall, okay, without throwing the legs forwards. All right, so we're going to do that 3 times. You ready? So I'm about, I don't know, that much away from the wall. So about the 1.5 of my feet length away from the wall. You might need to be closer, but don't go further forwards than that at the moment. Feet can be slightly apart or together. Stretch the arms up, which is difficult for me because the ceiling's quite low here, but you won't be able to see me otherwise. Lift that pubic bone up, press the tops of the thighs back, and then stretch the arms back and see if you can touch the wall behind you without throwing your hips forwards. And then you can let your head look up towards the ceiling. Then bring the head level and bring the arms down. I'm going to walk over to the other side because it's not really helping with me. And you can see my upper body now. You can't see my legs, but you've seen what I'm doing. All right, so let's do that once more. Lift the arms up. Pubic bone lifting. Inhale. As you exhale, bring the hands back. See if you can touch with your thumbs. Then let your head come up and look up at what you're doing. Thighs really strong. Don't hold the breath. Keep the eyes open, mouth closed. And then bring the head level and the arms down. And then if you want to come forwards a bit for the last one, we're going to do the same thing but slightly further away. So a bit more of a challenge now. Okay, so again, arms up. Stretch up as high as you can. Inhale. As you exhale, bring the arms back. Ooh, it's a long way away. There we are. And then lift your head, look up, thighs pressing back. And then head level, arms up, and arms down. Ooh, lovely. Okay. All right, and then we'll come down to the floor and we'll do a kind of version of that, but lying on our bellies for Salabhasana, all right, with the arms extended. So you need quite a long bit of space to extend the arms. So I'm going to turn this way so that you can see what I'm doing with my arms. And if you have a problem with, in fact, not even if you have a problem, just take a couple of blocks or a couple of bricks. Lie down on your belly, push those bricks forwards and put your hands on them. And then have your legs back. But, can you see my feet? Yeah, just about. See how the toes are turned in? Hang on, I'll take my speaker off because I'll get blasted. See how my toes are turned in and my heels out? So don't have your feet together like this. Have your heels out slightly. That widens the hamstrings, okay, the backs of the thighs. And then you're pressing your pubic bone down into the floor. Stretch those arms forwards, reach forwards as far as you can, and press the bricks and try and lift your head up a little bit. Lift your chest. It's not going to come off the floor, perhaps, but because my hands are down, but I want to avoid this, so I'm trying to lift and look up as high as I can. Okay, and then lift your legs, but don't bend them, and lift your arms. And then come down and release. Now, move your arms back behind you for classical Salabhasana. So arms extending towards the feet, big toes together, heels apart. Lift the arms first and stretch them back. Roll the chest up, lift the head, lift the legs. Grip the thighs, front thighs, roll the back thighs away from each other. Don't let the feet come apart. And then release down, fold your elbows, rest your forehead. Okay, and then bend your elbows and come up and sit on your heels. Now, the next back bend we're going to do is Ustrasana. So there are several ways to do this if you have problems with your knees, feet, what have you. The first way is that when you kneel up, that you put a bolster across the backs of your shins like that, and you sit on the bolster, all right? So that when you kneel up, you've got something to sit back down again, like that. And it's quite nice, even if you don't need it, actually, it's lovely. And then also, if you know that you can't reach your heels very easily, you've got a bolster here to put your hands on. If you don't have a bolster, you can sit on something under your buttocks for the knee people. If you can't reach the heels, you can use blocks like that. So you can bring your hands down and put your fingertips on blocks. All right, so there's lots of different ways to do this, and I'm sure your regular teacher will have shown you. So I'll show you with my bolster. We're going to be, first of all, coming up, pressing the shin bones down, thinking about that lift that we did when we had the arms up, although we're not going to take, well actually we might take the arms up first just to get that lift, then bring the hands behind the thighs and walk down for the first one. Then we'll sit, and then the second one we'll take the hands down onto the bolster or the bricks or the heels. All right, so whatever you can manage. So first of all, sit up or kneel up, have your feet, I'll do it without the bolster actually so you can see, have the feet parallel to each other. They go straight back, they're about hip width apart, not any wider. And then your tailbone should be moving forwards, pubic bone lifting up, front thighs pressing back, front hip bones lifting up. So don't throw the hips forwards, in other words. Let's take the arms up. Lift up as high as you can. Really stretch the arms. Now sweep them out to the side and bring them onto the backs of the upper thighs. Okay, we're not going back yet. Now lift the chest, curve the chest, and walk the hands low down onto the backs of the thighs and push the backs of the thighs forward slightly with the hands, but without allowing the hips to overreach. Then let your head come back. Lift the chest and head, sit back down on your heels or your bolster or what have you. All right, that's the first one. Take a couple of breaths. I'm going to turn around. I don't know why, but I feel that this is my better side. No, it's just I like to look at that. Sort out your feet. So make sure those toes are going straight back, that you haven't crept the toes towards each other. Press the shin bones down. Hands here to guide that tailbone forwards. Top of the buttocks is down, the middle buttocks is forwards. All right. Don't over tuck, otherwise your sacrum will suffer. Walk the hands down the backs of the legs now. Head back, see if you can reach your heels or reach the bolster, and then let the head go. And press the shin bones down. Inhale, come up. Again, sit back down. Just for a moment there, we'll do one more of those. It's always best to do Ustrasana, any back bend 3 times. And then come up. Feet parallel, thighs vertical. Cramp in my right foot, sorry. Once again, lift. So if you're not able to go back, and you're thinking, oh, I can't do this because it's hurting my back, just do this part. You know, learn to get that extension. Work on the alignment of the, you know, in the preparation. There's time to do the other stuff, but don't hurt your back, yeah? And then go down, walk the hands down, try and catch both heels at once. I rocked back a bit there, and then head back. If you can put your palms on your feet, go ahead. And then lift up. Sit down and just sit in Vajrasana, either with the support under the buttocks or just on the heels, and just sit quietly. See that the abdomen draws back, shoulders releasing away from the ears. Okay, now I'm going to show this, but you don't have to do the whole thing. All right, this is Urdhva Dhanurasana. We're just going to have a play with this. I'm certainly going to have a play with this because this is not one of my best poses at all. But, you know, as you get older, you have to keep trying these things. You have to keep practicing and just work out ways that you can practice towards it or with it. You know, we have different stages in our lives, don't we? Especially the women. And that's not negating from the men at all because they have their issues as well. But, you know, menopause, menstruation, you shouldn't really do these strong back bends, but you can also use the preparatory parts to work on the alignment, that kind of thing, pregnancy, all the different stages, ill health, COVID, God forbid, but there's always something you can do. So I always say to my students, don't just sit out and watch everyone else, do something, even if it's just lying down and working out, you know, are my feet in the right position. So I'm lying on a blanket here. It's under my head because I tend to scalp myself otherwise. And then I've got bricks for my hands. So even that for some people is difficult. So if you can work on, say, this action with the feet parallel, tucking the shoulders under, moving the buttock flesh away, stretching the arms up, then turning the hands, bending the elbows, trying to keep the elbows in line and putting the hands on the wall, that is a really good preparation for Urdhva Dhanurasana. Okay, so if you can just work towards that, that's fantastic. Don't worry about anything else in the pose and what other people are doing, and goodness me, otherwise, you know, we'd get very disappointed, wouldn't we? So the hands are going to be on bricks for me. That's where I am right now. And it's really helping me with my shoulders problems at the moment. And then my feet have to be a little bit wider, toes in, heels out. Then I'm going to work on trying to draw the pubic bone towards the chest, lifting the hips first, go onto the crown of the head, and then up into Urdhva Dhanurasana. And then when I come down, I've got the blanket there, I can slide my shoulders back, and there I am. All right, so that's the idea. And obviously, if you can do it in the middle of the room, if you don't have any problems with your shoulders, go ahead, do 3 attempts at something. All right, so either just here, bringing the hands to here, pressing the wall, feeling that interaction. Make sure your elbows stay in, or maybe you can bring the hands back a little further and just lift your pelvis up. That's one thing. Maybe you can go onto the head, that's another thing, and then maybe you can go up. So you've only got 2 more to do. And I've only got 1 more to do because I've done 2 already. So 1 more, if you're ready. And I find if you think about that lift from the pubis to the sternum, it really helps you to lift up. If you just try and lift your hips and straighten your arms, you don't really get the action right. And then you have to use a lot more brute force to go up, which is not what we want. So think about that lift of the pubis and you'll go up more easily. Okay. And then we come down. And one nice thing to do afterwards, I find, is just to stretch the arms up. You remember the wrist thing? So you just stretch the arms up. It diffuses all of the tension in the wrists. Okay. And then take Adho Mukha Svanasana. So just turn around. I'm going to put my thumb and my first finger against the brick there. And then come down to the floor, Adho Mukha Virasana. And then come up. And then we're going to take a couple of twists, just very simply. So I'm going to sit on a blanket in Dandasana. So Parsva take the arms up, turn to the right, bring the right hand behind you, left hand across. For Parsva. Back to the center, take the arms up, go to the left. Parsva on the left. Come back to the center, cross the left shin in front of the right, and then raise the arms up again. Parsva Swastikasana. You can turn the back of the left hand to get more rotation in that left shoulder blade. And then back to the center, arms up, turn to the right, the other side. I think I said the wrong side then. And then back to the center. Change the cross of the legs. So I'm not going to twist again, but we're going to just go forward slightly. So if you need to modify this because of knee problems or what have you, then do so. And then just go forwards and let your head relax. You might be more flexible and go to the floor, but otherwise just go forwards. Even if you're just here, just lean forward slightly. So you're spreading the back of the hips. And then come up and stretch out the legs in Dandasana. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll do Setu Bandha on a bolster or a bolster shape. So you can take your 4 foam blocks with a blanket on top. Let me just quickly remind you of how to do that in case anyone's really not sure. So if you haven't got one of these bolster shapes, you make the shape with your blocks, or you make or you roll your mat with a blanket, but it should be a really nice firm shape. So this is a good alternative if we're doing bolster Setu Bandha, bolster bridge. So you've got your blocks like that, and then you put a blanket on top of that so that you've got a nice, it's the same as that. And then maybe have blocks for the feet as well, so that you're not bringing your heels to the floor, unless you want to work that intensively. Okay, so I'm going to do it like this as well. And then as you go down, so I'm keeping it quite simple, the shoulders have to slide onto the floor. Then you've got your heels on your blocks like that, or you can just put your heels on the floor. In fact, I want to do that because those blocks feel a bit... So I'm going to roll them over so I can push my feet flat. There we are. So now my legs are extended, my shoulders are on the floor. I've got my body lifted in the middle, so it's making that bridge shape, and then my arms can be here. So do something like that for the next few minutes before we do Shavasana. Don't just go straight into Shavasana now. Do Setu Bandha. Finish the sequence. It's funny because the YouTube analytics tell me how long people watch this video for. So sometimes not everyone does the whole thing. So do try and follow the whole sequence. I know it's difficult with family around and commitment, and believe me, I know what it's like to fit in your practice into your daily life. So try and allow yourself the whole of this session. It's usually just under an hour, and do it as a standalone practice so you can really immerse yourself in it, and then you'll feel so much better afterwards. Or it will have a different effect than splitting it into 2 parts, because it's not really a 2-part sequence. It's too short for that. If it was a 2-hour session, then yeah, probably you could do that somehow. But these shorter sessions, they really should flow all together. So when you're ready to come out of this pose, again, just like the sort of shaking that we do, we tend to sort of do this kind of shake. We shake the neck after head's down, or we shake the wrist. Just remember to keep the movements really slow and quiet when you come out of these poses. So what I do is I bend my knees and I wait. That's one movement, I wait. Then I start to slide back, and maybe I slide all the way back, or I lift my hips and I push the bolsters away. Bottom comes down to the floor, and then I wait. Settling. And then I might cross my shins on top of the bolster or whatever it is, or maybe that's soles of the feet together, that kind of thing. Again, weight there. And my body will tell me whether I want to roll to the side or slide back further. And I'm going to roll to the side. And as I said before, and I'll keep saying it so in case there's new people, I don't go straight into Shavasana from lying down. I get up and I move my stuff, and then I go into Shavasana. It's just better for your back, you know. So I would get up, clear my stuff away, maybe, you know, stand, move around, especially if you're someone where Setu Bandha is kind of a challenge for you. Then get up and move around. And then set up your supports for Shavasana. All right, so I'll lead you into Shavasana, and then we'll close the class. So making sure you have whatever you need, don't get cold. When you lie down again, roll your spine down, remember, from the hips with the legs bent. And then adjust your shoulders, adjust your buttocks, extend your legs out, then let everything roll out from the center and close the eyes. And for the first few moments, observe your body on the floor. Or whatever you're lying on. And then observe the breath. And use that sense of concentration on the body or the breath to keep your mind in the present, and therefore to keep the mind quiet, composed, and resting. When you're ready to come out, remember to roll to your side and come out from the side. But stay as long as you need to recover. And I'll see you next time. Take care.